I'm reading from First Snow. Once upon a time, in a quaint Montana town named Willow Creek, where snow fell in hushed whispers rather than raging storms, lived a woman named Clara Jensen. Every December, as the first snow fell upon the town, Clara awaited a visitor. Not a person, you understand, but a storm. A snowstorm. It would arrive quietly, drifting down like whispered promises until the pine trees bent beneath its weight and the rooftops gleamed white. It was on one such morning, the morning after the first snowfall, that Clara stepped onto her porch to fetch firewood. The wind bit at her cheeks, her breath curling like smoke in the air. That's when she saw it, a small leather pouch resting against her front door, dusted in fresh snow. She bent down, brushed it off with her glove, and untied the cord. Inside, nestled in a scrap of flannel, were 4 gleaming gold coins. She looked up at the empty street. There were no footprints, no wagon tracks, just silence and falling snow. This wasn't a new occurrence. For 5 winters now, the pouch had appeared on the first snowfall, each time without a note, each time without a clue. Now, let's pause here. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, what a lovely story. It sounds like someone is secretly trying to help this poor widow. Well, that was the thought that crossed Clara's mind too, initially. You see, Clara was a 34-year-old woman who had been widowed for 10 years. Her husband, Daniel, had died in a mining collapse, leaving her alone with their 2 young children. She'd managed to survive by teaching piano to children and tending her small vegetable garden in the warmer months. But the reality of their situation was grim. The money was scarce, and she couldn't sell her house without draining the last of her funds. And selling the farmlands would mean losing her connection to Daniel, to the memories they had built together. The gold coins were her lifeline, keeping her above water and giving her hope in a sea of despair. But the mystery of the gold coins gnawed at her. Who would do such a thing? Why her? And why not simply leave a note? These questions echoed through the silent halls of her home, becoming a constant whisper in her ear. So the following year, as the snow began to fall, she decided she wouldn't stay indoors. Determined to catch whoever was leading the coins, she spent hours by her front window. On the night before the snow was forecast, she even slept on the couch by the door, wrapped in quilts, determined to hear a knock or catch sight of a shadow. But when morning came, she woke to find the pouch sitting neatly by her door again. She hurried outside, scanning for tracks, but there was nothing, not a single print in the snow leading to or from her porch. Clara's friends were puzzled. They suggested everything from a secret admirer to a wandering prospector. But none of these theories made sense. The coins were too heavy to be carried by a casual passerby, and their weight and purity suggested a local source. With each passing day, the mystery deepened, turning into a shadow that followed Clara everywhere she went. Then one day, as she was walking home from the general store, she saw an old man by the side of the road, leaning heavily on a cane. His patched coat hung loose around his shoulders, and his hat was pulled low over his brow. When she passed, he tipped his hat politely but said nothing. His eyes lingered on hers for a long moment. Something in them felt familiar, almost apologetic. She glanced back over her shoulder, but he had already slipped into the pines. That evening, she asked Sheriff Amos about the man. But the sheriff, bless his heart, was as puzzled as the rest of them. He had no record of any recent visitors matching the man's description. Days turned into weeks, and still, the mystery remained unsolved. The appearance of the old man offered a glimmer of hope, a tangible lead in the case, but it quickly faded with the coming of spring. Clara found herself back at square one, staring at the pouch filled with coins on her kitchen table. It was during one of these puzzling sessions that Clara decided to take matters into her own hands. She would visit the old man, confront him directly. Armed with this resolve, she set out to find him, combing through the hills and asking every resident she met. But as the days passed and her search yielded no results, Doubt crept into her heart. Had she been chasing a phantom? Was the old man merely a figment of her snow-addled imagination? Disheartened but determined, she returned to her home, ready to accept the mystery as an insoluble part of her life. But fate, it seems, had other plans. About a week after her fruitless search, as she was passing by the general store, she bumped into Mrs. O'Leary, a chatty woman known for her uncanny knack of knowing everyone's business. Mrs. O'Leary, with her usual flair for the dramatic, informed her that she had seen the old man in town, and he was planning to leave Willow Creek. Clara's heart skipped a beat. This was her chance. She thanked Mrs. O'Leary profusely and hurried to the sheriff's office. She explained her encounter with the mysterious old man to Sheriff Amos, who, although initially skeptical, agreed to investigate. Together, they pieced together the few clues they had, the old man's vague description and the direction he had taken. After what felt like an eternity, they were ready. With a mix of apprehension and excitement, Clara and the sheriff set off in search of the old man. They searched high and low, questioning everyone and retracing the old man's steps. But as the sun began its slow descent, it became clear that they were running out of time. Just when their hope was beginning to dwindle, they heard a sound that made Clara's blood run cold. It was the creak of an old screen door, the very same screen door that the mysterious old man had pushed open when he had visited her porch all those years ago. As they cautiously approached the house, a sudden gust of wind blew the door open, revealing an interior that seemed frozen in time. Dust motes danced in the lone shaft of sunlight piercing through the gloom, illuminating a room filled with antique furniture and old photographs. As Clara stepped inside, her eyes fell on a figure sitting in a rocking chair by the fire. The old man turned, revealing a face etched with age and hardship, yet holding a glimmer of familiarity that tugged at Clara's heartstrings. In that instant, all the pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. It was him. It was the old man who had been visiting her porch all these years. But why? What was the meaning behind his cryptic gifts? Why? The question escaped Clara's lips before she could stop it. The old man sighed, his gaze dropping to the worn floorboards. Because, he began, his voice raspy with disuse, your husband, he was my best friend. When the mine collapsed, I was the last one to see him alive. I pushed you away from that shaft, made sure you were clear. He saved me. I swore I'd take care of you. And the only way I knew how, I've still got a little gold from my prospecting days. Each year I melted some down, brought it to you before the snow sets in. Figured it might help. And maybe, just maybe, it would make up for the fact that I walked out of that mine and he didn't. Clara's throat tightened, understanding dawning on her like the sunrise. It wasn't a secret admirer. It wasn't a wealthy benefactor. It was a friend's way of honoring his fallen comrade and looking after the family he couldn't save. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring the old man's face. Henry, she whispered, reaching out a hand. He looked at her, his eyes filled with regret and sorrow. Henry, she repeated, stepping closer. In that small, dusty house, amidst the relics of a bygone era, Clara found the answers she had sought for so long. And in the process, she discovered the true meaning of friendship, sacrifice, and the enduring power of the human spirit. And that is our story. If you enjoyed this tale, please don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. Also, let us know in the comments what kind of stories you'd like to hear next. Until then, keep being awesome, and we'll see you soon.